Hello and welcome to the NovaTime Technical Library. Hello and thank you for watching today's video. Today we'll focus on processing payroll from within the NovaTime 4000 and 5000 system. To begin, simply navigate to the payroll category and select Process Data. The Process Data screen will then bring up several options used to build the data that's processed to the payroll provider or payroll application. Okay, let's look at our options. The first options we have is to select the payroll bridge that's been configured by your consultant or by your team. There are two payroll bridges available for use. Generally only one is used and will be defaulted when you come into the payroll screen. The next option is to always select Generate New Payroll File. From here we'll select the pay period that we wish to process. By clicking Refresh Period, it'll default these date ranges to the last unprocessed date range within your system. You can also select pay cycles. If your company has multiple pay cycles, you can then select which one to process within the drop-down. Okay, next we'll look at options that you have within the process data screen. First is the prepay rule. Most companies do not do prepay, but we'll quickly explain what this is, and please ask your system consultant for more information if you desire to use this. Prepay allows a company to close payroll prior to the end of the pay period and have the system estimate payments based on schedule or shift. On the subsequent payroll, a company can then make adjustments for any prepay amounts that actually may not have been accurate. So the prepay rule basically is for companies that process early, or maybe in the case of a holiday need to close early, yet pay their employees the estimated hours based on shift or schedule. Additional options are within the special options. To open and close, just click on the plus and minus to view the additional options. The first option is dependent on the payroll bridge and configuration selected. Include process punches means that you can reprocess punches that were already at payroll status. Depending on your setup, this may be allowed to click on or off so that you can ignore those already processed or reprocess those that are at payroll status. Do not lock timesheets is a handy feature, especially during early phases when you may be testing. This will prevent the system from locking the timesheets at payroll status so that if you need to go back and test or reprocess data, you can. Generally, this is left off, however, because you do want your timesheets locked when you process payroll so that no data can be modified in the future. Skip accrual processing is generally something that most companies want to do. This event will generally run in the background, configured by your consultant so that you do not need to run it at payroll time. The rest of them are pure preference, whether or not you want to run these at processing time. However, I would recommend only skip payroll processing be checked because that will expedite the processing of your data for payroll. Okay, we've covered the special options at this point. The only recommendation is to generally skip accrual processing. This will help expedite the time needed to process payroll data. So I'm going to go ahead and select special options. And what we'll do at this point is cover the filter area. The filter area is just that, allows you to filter employees or groups of employees that you want to include within this payroll batch. The filters have two methods, a from to, so you could put a from value and a to value, or by clicking on the all button will bring up the familiar filter mover. So if I wanted to filter on default pay policy only, I do that and I bring that over, and what you'll notice now is the filter is red. This indicates I have a filter active, and by hovering over I can see I have one, Pay Policy 1 active. If you want to reset your filters, you just click on Reset. You'll get a little warning. This will reset all filters. And now what you'll notice when the screen refreshes, that the red is all gone. Okay, so very easy filtering to provide a single batch or multiple batches as needed for the payroll process. Now that we've set our options and defined our filters, it's time to process the data. To do so, simply click on the Process button. The Process button will initiate a background thread which will collect all the data needed for payroll. You will also get statuses within this area indicating where the payroll status is. You do not need to stay on this page and can go perform other tasks within NovaTime. If you come back, you can see real-time status At this point, we see the payroll process was completed. You may also see, based on configuration, the system updating schedules for the next pay period for employees. You do not need to wait for this step to finish and can move on to the next step. Now that the process data step is complete, the next step is to report. There are several reports to select from. However, the most common are the detail report and the summary report. To run one of these reports, just click on the preview. These reports will only be populated from the data that was processed in the first step under process data. Most companies will save these reports for archive purposes so that they have a historical record of what was processed at that time. Once reports have been saved, the last step is to export. As mentioned earlier, NovaTime has created predefined exports to work with your application or payroll provider. To create an export, simply click on Process. As with the process data, you will get a real-time status of what's happening. Again, you can go work on other tasks while the payroll export is running. Once completed, a key here is a critical step. Lots of internet browsers like to cache data, so you do not want to inadvertently download last week's data, so I always recommend to click on Payroll Bridge number 1, and as you saw, the page quickly refreshed. To download the file, just click on Download. This will then bring up the download within your browser and allow you to view your file before you transmit to your payroll application or provider. Once done, you can then save this file to your local disk for archive purposes, just as you did with your reports. So that's it for running payroll within NovaTime. We really do explain it as simple as 1, 2, 3. The steps are process data, report, and then export. Thanks for watching today's video. We hope you enjoyed it.